What's happening? Oh, I got the wrong lids on. Hold on a second. Let's get this right. How we doing, everybody? Now we're back to normal. What's happening? I hope all is well with our crew. The place you see behind me, it's a little messed up. I could go with, it's called Casa de Mozzarella. Anybody that's familiar or knows the Bronx at all, it's kind of like my go-to, although there's many, many, many. I prefer to go here for certain things, the mozzarella, certain cold cuts. And then, I mean, there's other places too, but that's what you see behind me tonight. Casa de Mozzarella. Fabulous. Amazing. That's just my opinion. Who am I, right? Just a little something I thought I'd share with you tonight. I hope all is well. Hope everybody's doing well. We had a long weekend. Normally we kick off the week with our boxing show, but I said, you know what? Let's start the week off with a bang. So tonight, if you notice the thumbnail, first off, you know what? Let's do this the right way. Let me welcome everybody in who's here right now. Nikki, what's happening, my brother? CG2, hope all is well, my dear. Bobby, how are you? Bobby, what's a good word? I hope everybody sees and gets those shorts of some of the knockouts in MMA. We're doing good with the shorts, so they're bringing in attention to the show. So it's a passion, something we love. So we get to platform MMA that way. But that's that. Matty boy, what's happening? Darren, how are you, brother? Good to see everybody here. Davey T, my man, what's happening, Davey? Sideline Scout. Tonio, how are you? Nikki's here. We'll speak afterwards. Always a pleasure to see you, son. Love you. Little Pip might pop in. Who knows? It's always good when you see your boys here. And all you guys are my guys. So you know that. Osada, always a pleasure, brother. Always. Maureen, how are you, my dear? Hope all is well. Davey T again, so nice. We say it twice. And CG2, what's a good word? CG, let me read that. CG, I'm good. My nephew was moved down to step 2 out of intensive care. And I'm allowed to take them outside in a wheelchair, and he's allowed to play his games. Next step, moving to a therapy hospital. Amen. God is good, and the power of prayer works, right? That is great news. CG2, we are so happy for your nephew, and I know you know that, and God has big plans for him. We know that. Tonight's show, the thumbnail, we'll try to, I don't want to be rude and go back to the chat. So if there's anybody that jumps in the show as we're talking, as you know, it's hard enough for me to concentrate on what I'm doing. So whatever we're talking about, I think it's rude to stop and keep going back and forth. So we'll save that for the end. So tonight, I thought it's important we talk about 10, we just picked out a number. I had one of my sons put, Lil Pip, put the thumbnail together. So he told me shoot out a number basically on, different lessons and stuff. That Danny, how are you? Danny, it's a pleasure. That's my son, Danny. My son is, his name's Antonio. He's known sideline scout. Tonio, that's Dan Giancola. The football stories with Dan. You guys would have some conversation, and down the road, hopefully we'll do a football show together. But that's it. I got to keep to the rule. As we go on with the show, we'll catch up with the chat later. So I thought the thumbnail would be important tonight because I think, it was my son asked me, who was really young, not like Antonio and my older son, Vincent, who saw a lot of things from their dad that they probably shouldn't have seen. I didn't always do the right things as like a dad should do. I took them to places that I thought were cool, and I thought it was cool to take them to restaurants, social clubs, more of the restaurant things that we were in. And, the guys would throw them money, take them shopping. The women would take them shopping or whatever. And, and thought that was, cool for them to see that at such a young age, not knowing that we weren't doing anything criminally at that point. They're just seeing the restaurant end of things and people showering money at them. And one of my sons just happens to be here now. And he was one that, saw a little bit too much at a young age. That I wish, you can't go back. So you only learn from that crap and you move on from it. But that's that. But tonight, the thumbnail is really about, because Lil Pip said, if I had to number, is there a number of lessons you could learn in the street that you could share that maybe, no, there's a lot of, lessons could be many different things. But yes, there were some things I think you need to definitely adhere to. And that could mean from the littlest to something that could be very common to people or something that might not be very common to people. And so I think the title on the thumbnail was 10 life lessons I've learned, in the period of time I was involved with organized crime. Something to that effect. And it has a wonderful picture of me on stage talking to, like a motivational speaker. So I thought that was, had I known it was going to be a photo shoot, I really would have put on my Sunday best. But this has to do with the first one I want to go over. And I'm not here to preach to anybody about behavior, but it has to do with your behavior in the street. We're talking about street life now. What are some of the things that I've learned, good, bad, or indifferent, that you need to learn and quickly if you're going to forget survival, watching way too many movies, but that is real. That is real. You could, you got to know that going in or don't go in, that you're getting involved with something serious, And if you don't know how to act and behave a certain way, which you should already have, or nobody should be bringing you around, right? But you do find out, I'm going to get to the chat later. I'm sure Antonio's saying some things, but you do find out later as you're going through this process of being in the street and you're getting to know more people, you're gaining, whether you think it's respect or whatever it is that you're looking for. I told you the ultimate goal for me was I would have never got involved with something if I truly didn't believe there was something at the end of the tunnel, and it wasn't a light. It was called your stripes, your button. Everybody had a name for it. That thing, they would go like that, and there was so many different things. So for any of the fools out there, and I said I wouldn't pay them no mind. So you know what? I'm not gonna. I won't, because they wouldn't know what that meant. They wouldn't. So maybe that's the first lesson I could teach. What does that mean? If Jimmy's watching, he knows what it means. Maybe there's a bunch of people in here that knows what it means. That just means you got that thing. You got the button. You're a made guy, right? You got the stripes. You got your wings. There's a lot of words they use for it back then. I don't know. It's probably changed now. As a matter of fact, I heard CVS is giving out applications for anybody that's looking to get straightened out. So just go to your local CVS and fill out an application. And for certain guys, you really get fast tracked. And I don't want to have to say those names, and I won't. But let's talk about behavior, because I think it's very important and essential on how you survive and how maybe I survive. And it's not to say every day was life and death, but you need to understand, as we talked about in our last conversation about behavior. Right out there. Behavior. Something that you might, I'm raised a certain way. All right, Baby T, thank you for becoming a member, my brother. Thank you so much, my man. It means a lot. Thank you, David. Thank you so much. Behavior. Something that maybe I was raised a certain way, maybe a certain group. Look, I have to say it for what it is. A fact's a fact. The guys, my man, as much as I don't want to say this, it would be wrong for me not to say this. The guys that decided to, in the end, when the cuffs went on, and behaved in a certain manner that I don't agree with, and I don't platform, and won't ever. I won't be on YouTube if I ever decided to do that. That's not to say nobody has the right or not the right to do that. I just I saw it happen, up close, and actually, my youngest has a godfather. He doesn't know. Now, some might say, the ones that have said, I'm full of shit. They won't say it's me. They didn't do their homework. I have a young one that doesn't know his godfather. Why? You could probably guess why. That's how important that is. But what I was going to say was this. They knew how to behave, otherwise they would have never got to the positions they got to. I don't care who they knew. At some point, they did know how to behave, and they behaved in a certain way. And that's the behavior I'm talking about. Right? What is that? Let's talk about some of these things that are on that thumbnail. Start with some little ones. There's an old saying, speak when spoken to. It's a big one. Sounds little. It's a big one. Never interject. Nothing. Zero. Especially when you're very new to the crew, your surroundings, the people you're around. Don't interject. Nothing. Only speak when spoken to. Keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Let me also make something very clear. Like I just made a sarcastic joke about they're giving out applications at CVS. At one time, I would have never said that, but that's what I feel now, being so many years removed from that, and not deciding to just latch on with another group, crew, whatever word guys want to use, because I could have did that. I could have did that, and chose not to do that. And that was important because I wasn't truly being. I talk about loving my children, loving my wife, whatever, being a father, being this, being that. But if you live in that life, you don't love them. You don't love them. Yeah. You can say that all you want. Nah, the street came first. The duty to whoever came first, to whatever you want to call it. I don't even know. But I do know, yes, at one time I believed in something thoroughly. And there's still some things I took out of that still bother me today. And it has to do with behavior, on how people act. Look, I'm sure there's a lot of things that I do that people don't like. I piss a lot of people off on YouTube. I'm sure. I'm not saying, but I'm going to say what I feel, and this is not directed at anybody because I'll say it. This is not directed at anybody, but I was always told that never expect anybody to behave or act the way you were taught to behave and act. And I wasn't raised and taught to be in the street and be a wise guy. No, I was just taught to be respectful, loyal, and never tell on people from a young age. And that meant telling the teacher. That could mean telling on anybody about anything. So that was ingrained in me. And it was ingrained in my brothers. And that's a fact. And it was ingrained in my children, it was ingrained in my nephews, and so forth and so on. And I go on for hours about how many people that's been ingrained into. I'm not saying, I'm saying that is right. I do believe that, and I'll die that way. But there are some people that you'll find yourself highly disappointed when you don't see that same behavior out of them. And that's not gangster shit. That's just, to me, man shit. That's a certain type of behavior you should have immediately, automatically. So when I don't see that, or I treat somebody a certain way with love and respect, and you see and you get it, but behind your back, you're hearing crazy shit, and your eyes are seeing something that you don't see in our chat, yes, I still get disappointed. So I guess the moral of that story is, don't let no other human being disappoint you by their actions, because you'll be disappointed every freaking day. You will. You'll be highly disappointed when you see the behaviors of others. So don't have expectations for anything or anybody. Fact, do not, because you will be highly disappointed in this YouTube world. Now, let's look. Come on, apples to apples, oranges to oranges. This is a soap opera compared to the real world. Forget about living, dedicating whatever amount of years you dedicated to the street, to the life, whatever word you want to use for it. It's a soap opera. So, yes, you can be bothered by me. I'm talking about me now. I can be bothered by certain behaviors that I see from others, or I can gain immediate respect when I hear somebody speak a certain way right away. And it's an amazing thing, because you could really discern somebody. They call it, judgment of character. Well, I've been wrong a lot. And I was somebody that used to think had a great judge of character. Well, I can't tell you how many times I've been wrong on YouTube. I've been wrong a lot. So, you live and you learn. But let's get back to the street. Speak when spoken to. Think about that. Remember I always say literal, everything is literal. Now, there's probably a lot of, I don't say a lot because we're a small channel. I don't mind that. But for any ex-made guys out there, shelved guys, whatever the case may be, informants, cooperators, they know. At one point in their life, they behaved a certain way. They did. You cannot take that from them. But when the cuffs went on for whatever reason, and they had their reason for whatever it was, they decided to behave in a different way. Okay? I'm not here to speak on their behalf or anybody's behalf. I can only speak on myself and the things I've seen and learned and the lessons. So the first one is behavior. How do you behave? Be yourself. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by be yourself? If you're a jerk off by nature, sorry to use that word, there's a good chance nobody's going to bring you around unless you have something of great value to them that they're willing to put by. They're willing to put aside your total jerk off behavior, and you're going to wind up being chased or, God forbid, even worse later on. So they'll milk you like a cow until it's time to say goodbye to you. And that goodbye could be in many ways depending on that severity. Again, for all those that are in the know will understand what I'm talking about. And for those that are not in the know will have no clue what I'm talking about. So I'm not speaking to them. Okay? I'm not. Behavior. Speak when spoken to. I'll give you another one. Believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear. Think about that. Believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear. Let's go into that a little bit. I know nobody came here for a lesson, but I want to try to drop a few nuggets that were taught to me. It took me a while to get that one. So what you always see, you might see one thing, and you might see something that looks like very strong bond and a brotherhood between two people. And deep inside, it's pure, despised jealousy. And I hate to use that word, hatred. And over time, it will be shown. What do I mean by nothing of what you hear? Because in the street, you're going to hear a lot of things. Because people like to yap. They like to talk. That's actually, I'm going to get to that part. But so you can't believe or listen to things you hear unless you truly, 1,000,000%. I can't even give you the percentage of how much you must love that other person and trust him with not only your life, your mother's life. That's how serious it is when it comes to hearing shit that people are telling you. Now, maybe they're telling you something that's true, but there's so much bullshit and garbage going on that sometimes there's a lot of guys that you'll be surprised talk just to talk. And just like we say, like in civilians, so technically, as an associated guy and you're living the life fully invested, as much or as more as a made guy. That's right. You're doing as much or as more as the guy that's got that thing, right? Technically, when you break it down, you're a little above a civilian. Yes, you have some protection because you're around maybe the right person, the right guys, you're in a good crew, whatever. So you're good that way. But that could end in a fucking snap of a finger. That could end as I talked about last week. That was a series. I wasn't going to ever talk about that. But I wanted the severity of that to be known because that was a problem that we had no clue about. And things could have went sideways real quick. And we could have won. We would have won. There was no question we were going to win that battle. We would have lost that war. My children would have no father because there's only so many you got because they're going to keep coming, right? The guy that with me, his daughter's going to have no father. And when the tears are gone, your crew is going to move on and they're just going to add 2 more guys and you'll be a memory. That's a fact. It's a sad fact, but it's a fact. You'll be forgotten quick. And before that seat gets cold that you used to sit in all the time in that restaurant, somebody else will warm it up real fast. So that's a few. I got some more. I don't know if it's going to be exactly 10, but there's some ones that, and again, let's make this very clear. You'd have to be a fool in 2024 to want to do anything in your life that is not strictly about your family, your wife, your children, the right things. Not this charade, because that's what it became. And I don't care about the blowback I get. What I thought it was once about, it showed me at the end to be. I was disgusted, but still behaved properly. That's a fact. So that could get fact checked, you know. No, I wasn't facing 1,000 years. No, I wasn't. But behavior is behavior. As we find out, there's people. It's not about how much time you're facing or amount of years. There's some people that just can't do a day. For whatever reason. So when and then there's guys that have done a ton of time and then later on have given up, the house because of whatever reasons, bitterness, whatever they are. Again, I feel a certain way about it, so it won't get platformed on here. I can't control what everybody else watches, and nor do I want to. But for me, I can't watch it. I just can't. I've seen too many families cry because of somebody they thought that was a brother that took, whether they took an oath or not, whether you're just on record or as associate or around and they did things, whether it was serious or not, jail was put in the way and they were faced with time and they weren't going to do that time. So it was a good idea for them to give up everything they knew and everybody they ever did anything with so they can get themselves out of trouble. So that's really the problem I have. Now maybe it's because watching as a young kid, we don't know this, but when you go to visit people in prison from a young age, I'm going to only use me as an example because I can't speak for anybody in the chat. I don't know personally everybody's life story. I can tell you from a young age, visiting family members in prison, what you don't realize is happening, you are being indoctrinated into this prison system. That's retarded, Craig. What are you talking about? You are. What do I mean? Well, at 9, 10, at 12, 14, you're visiting people. You're getting used to the line. You're getting used to the color. You're familiar with the building. You're familiar with the clank. You're familiar back then with you were allowed to bring a certain amount of pounds of food. It's all changed since. The vending machines. You're being indoctrinated into the prison system. So when it's your turn, it's not a big deal because you already understand it. You've been in the visiting room a million fucking times. So I might get pushback on that, but I know what I'm talking about. You're not worried about it. You're not thinking about it because you've been there 100 times. Yes, maybe that's a little high, but you've been there. You've been there a lot to visit loved ones. Later in life, friends. Maybe people came to see me. Maybe they got me came to pick me up at a courthouse. Whatever it is. You know what I mean? So going to visit family members, loved ones, when you're young, you're technically, when it's repetitive, you're being indoctrinated into the prison system and you don't even know it. You don't even know it. So when your turn comes, if you make mistakes in life and the handcuffs go on you, not only was it drilled into you to behave a certain way, you understand where you're going already. You know what the building looks like. Yeah, you might not know about a few things, but you've heard it all already. You know what to expect. You put the worst thing in your mind and live with that. I'm not saying there's things you're going to find out, for sure. But you're indoctrinated. It's not like, oh, I didn't expect this. It's fact. It's fact. So you're indoctrinated without even being indoctrinated, without knowing it. That's up for debate. You guys can discuss that, whether it's not about right and wrong. It's just about my thought on it. The indoctrination of the prison system when you're visiting people very young, and it continues. You understand what you're going to, and you understand what you're seeing. So to some, it's not, you've already seen it before, you've been there, you're not that you became comfortable with it, but you're not really intimidated by it because you understand it. You've heard every story. You've heard a lot of bad stories. You heard that it became home to whoever it was that was away that you were raised with. That's your home for that period of time. So get used to it. You make the best you can of it. Sounds easy. I get it. But when you get tested, you'll either know, whether you're behaving, you'll understand. You'll understand. And that's some of the things that I won't go into it, that, some of the so-called experts in this area don't speak on. Because why? Because they can't. Not glorified. It's not a good feeling being young and having to wait in line for 10 hours, whatever it is. Take that 7-hour drive. State, that is. We're not talking federal. And wait in line to see your loved one. And then have a certain amount of time. And then it's time to go. It's not fun. but you get used to it. You get used to it. You get used to it. It's enough of that. I want to go on. I want to go on to other things. Don't be a big mouth. Don't volunteer for shit. Don't. For instance, I'll give you a hypothetical. You got a bunch of guys. Everybody's hanging out. Let's make believe you got 4 or 5 guys standing on a street corner. Maybe there's a maid guy there. Maybe there's a captain there. Maybe higher. Don't be that jerk off. Don't be that guy that wants to impress people by talking tough or throwing around stories and bragging about, I just came home, I did 6 years, I did 8 years. I don't get it. I never did. Maybe it's because I had a brother that did some time from young. My dad had done his share at a young age, and even a little bit later. Whether it was street related or not, the behavior was the same. But the point is they didn't think it was something to come home and brag about. So we were taught it. Maybe you shouldn't be taught this, but we were taught this. Don't come home and talk about it like it's a badge of honor. Don't. Especially if you live in this, especially if you choose this life, that life, right? It's expected. So don't act like you deserve a fucking patch or a trophy for it, because nobody's going to give you one. As a matter of fact, they'll get tired of hearing you talking about it. So I learned from people around me, very close. If somebody brought up, I won't say who, I'll say it. If somebody said to my brother, who quite honestly was against the life, he thought he was against it. He didn't believe in doing a felony for nobody. He believed in being his own person, his own man. And he thought it was a fucking pyramid game for morons. That's a fact. That's what he thought. That's what he thought. Why should I go out and do this while somebody sits home and I got to give him a piece of what I just did? He didn't believe it. He would tell me all the time, I don't get it. What is wrong with you? But that started young. It started very young. So, but he wasn't the kind of guy that would come home, doing different bids in and out, and stand on the corner and one of his friends, hey, Joe, you just came home. He took it serious. You might get hit. I'm not glorifying the violence either, but I want you to know how it was nothing to brag about or talk about. Didn't want to talk about it. You did something stupid, you got caught, now you got to go home and fucking brag about that. You just got in trouble. You just went away. It became, later in life, it became this big badge of honor. I just did 8 years. I just did 20 years. It's sad. It's sad that you lost that many years of your life. Understand what I'm saying? Let's not get this twisted. But I can tell you this. Anytime I've got arrested in my life, I can only speak for me. Anytime I got in trouble in my life, they had a reason to arrest me. I'll just leave it at that. Okay? Now, I do know, I don't want to, go into, there are innocent people in prison. There are. There are innocent people in prison, and stuff like that should get looked into. No doubt. I can only talk about myself. All right? But I want to get into the behavior things are things that eat at me, that I used to see, and I still see play out on YouTube, and that's really it's wild to me. It really is. It's like crazy. Again, we talked about being on a corner or don't interject things. If you're not being spoken to, say somebody's saying to somebody, hypothetically, this is all hypothetical, Everything I'm talking about is hypothetical. Somebody's saying, yeah, I'm having a problem with this guy. Yeah, for some reason, he can't seem to find his pockets. But he's not talking to you. He's talking to somebody else. You're not supposed to interject. Oh, yeah, give it to me. Let me see. I bet you I'll make him find his pocket. No. You don't do that. You don't do that. You don't do that. You never interject shit like that. You don't do that. That's how not to behave. There's some that might say I'm wrong. I don't know how I'd be wrong on that. But I think even the ones that might not like how I speak or how I say I don't platform certain things, even those people would agree he's saying the right thing. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to interject. Oh, yeah, give it to me. Let me show you what I can do. Really? Because you'll be surprised. Yeah? You want to play tough guy? Yeah? How about they give you something 30 times worse than what you're saying you're going to go do? So don't interject shit. Don't gossip. Don't be a gossiper. As we know, we've talked about treachery in itself and betrayal in itself. Don't be the gossiper. Don't be that gossiper, because you do not know if something is being said to you. Now, you should already know this going in. That's the truth. If you don't know these things and you don't have this stuff in you already to understand you're playing chess every day of your life in this shit. You're not playing checkers, you're playing chess every day. Right? People are trying to read you. It's crazy. It sounds crazy. But you have to assume that. You assume it. You assume it. Now, yes, in time you develop relationships, you let your guard down. And that's usually when you get bit. But in the beginning, your guard is very up. So you are not going to fall, or you almost develop the thinking of, I'm not going to be tripped up. I'm not going to interject. I am not going to speak unless I'm spoken to. I'm not going to act like a tough guy. I'm not going to be a big mouth. I am not going to be a washwoman, gossiper, whisperer, murmurer, whatever word we want to use for that. Because things will be said to you on purpose to see if they go anywhere else. And you know how many guys fail that test? A simple thing. It could be bullshit. It could be total bullshit that has nothing to do with nothing. Like, for instance, hypothetical. Hey, listen, this weekend, I want just you and your wife, the kids, to come to my house this weekend. And just you feeling so good about it that so-and-so asked you to go to his house for the weekend, you decide to tell somebody that you trust so much, hey, guess who told me to go to his house and have a barbecue at his house this weekend? Because you're so honored. And now that person you just told is fucking jealous and pissed off because he wasn't invited. And it goes to somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. Meanwhile, there was never a barbecue. I'm just hypothetically, they tested you to see if they could say something to you. See if you're going to go run around and tell the world. I'm just inviting you. You don't have to tell you don't tell nobody. It's just between us. Just you and your kids. I don't want, quiet. I want you to come. Make you feel honored. Like you're so special. Just a test. Now, maybe there is a barbecue. And maybe you are the only one invited. It still doesn't mean you go tell the whole world where you're going Saturday and to whose house. Certain behaviors you just should not have. Or you'll find out, look, everything doesn't end in, the movies, like the movie show, everything ends with you in the trunk or disappearing. No. There's something called you get chased, right? I don't know how many guys can disagree with that. You get chased. You know how many guys I seen get chased because of behavior issues? Now, did everybody deserve to get chased, in my opinion? No. But there were a good handful that, yeah, they shouldn't have been around, whether it be because of a big mouth, drank too much. I'm glad I brought that up. I learned this at a young age, probably too young too, not knowing I would end up going down that road. Never drink like an animal, like you're with your friends right after a softball game. That's a different kind of drinking. That's a different kind of crowd. Never show anybody that. No. Never be sloppy. Take that serious. Again, this isn't about me trying to tell guys how to sign up for this fucking whatever they call it today, because in a million years I wouldn't want to be part of it today. And I'm glad I know what I know now, because it changes your thinking on what's now seems to be just a mirage. But at the time, you truly believe in it. You truly, there's something so strong. It's got a hold on you so strong that the people you love the most could be telling you, what are you doing? What the frick are you doing? You're throwing away so many things to do this. What are you doing? And you just can't see it because you don't want to see it, because you are just laser focused on one thing, because that means so much to you to have all of this respect, pride, all the groupies. I talked about the groupies. Some weird groupie shit. Weird. I thought, you think athletes and rock stars had groupies? The groupie shit that I mean, again, I can't talk about errors, but I imagine it was all the way through. You have women, obviously, that are okay with knowing that they're either number two, number three, I don't know, depending on the guy. They're all right being the gumata, the second gumata, the third gumata. They're all right with it. They're okay with it. They know you're married. They know you got 5 kids, 4 kids, 3, whatever it is. They're all right with it. They're okay with it. They're good with it. That's part of it. That's part of that life. Behavior. Speak when spoken to. Never interject. Don't be a tough guy if you're not a tough guy. Don't. I didn't consider myself a tough guy. I did not. Yeah, I knew I could handle myself, but I didn't feel I needed to prove that. I did not feel I needed to prove that to nobody. I didn't. That's a fact. I didn't feel I needed to prove that at any point to anybody. In time, you know what? Let's put something else to bed. 9 out of 10 times, if you're sent to see somebody, they're going to lay down anyway. Whether you're made or not, they know that you're with who you're with. And very few times you're going to get, yes, there were a few, but very few times are you going to get any resistance. I had more fights as a bouncer or doing security than I did, getting resistance in that life. Unfortunately, in that life, it's the ones closest to you that are going to put, going to seal your fate. It's not the guy you're going to put your hooks in or being asked to speak to. It's 9 out of 10. He's already shaken that you're coming to see him. So let's be honest about that. You're not going to get any pushback from that. You're not. I guess, I told the story about the time in Brooklyn. Yeah, he played tough guy for a little bit, but it was all words. But in the end, church mouse, because they understand in the end that, like I said, yes, we were in a situation that we didn't expect to be in. We happened to be prepared. So we would have won that battle, but we would have lost the war because now you're doing something you're not, but we're not thinking that way. We're thinking life, I want to work YouTube. A situation calls for you or me and my buddy. We're going to get home to our families, but that problem is never going to go away, and you're outnumbered, you're out everything. Eventually, you are going to lose that war. That was my point about that. And there's so many, like, people ask, were there any good things I took from that? Were there any good lessons I got from spending time in the street? Yeah. I still believe in that. I had a lot of laughs. There's a lot of guys again that spent a lot of time in the street with that. For the ones that don't know, with that thing, right? With the stripe, button, with their wings, whatever words we want to use, right? For all those that don't know, I know everybody knows everything, right? But there were a lot of fun. There were times where it was great brotherhood that I felt. I was not betrayed. I was put in a bad situation unknowingly, and we explained that last week. And as we get to, eventually, this has got to wrap up at some point, right? I don't have 30 years of stories like my partner on Friday does. I don't, because in the grand scheme of things, there were a lot of other things I didn't like, as Jimmy did too. But I guess I could say I was fortunate that way. Could we look at me being sent with 2 organized crime detectives to do something illegal? Betrayal? Well, if they don't know that they're organized crime detectives and I'm being asked to do something with them, well, I don't see it as betrayal. Whoever brought them around was the betrayer, right? So ultimately, that's the person that's got to answer for that. So, although we're not committing crimes here on YouTube, but we're talking about certain things and behaviors. They're not. I wouldn't say they're good things, but I still believe if I, even through YouTube, say to somebody in the chat, I care about them. I give them my phone number. I'm like that with just about everybody in the chat. It's just what we are. We try to be here. Straight up, whether it's, we're not always going to agree on everything, but it's about being straightforward and straight up. I think that should be appreciated and respected more than just somebody that's grasping for straws. So I don't care if it's YouTube or in the street or at a job. When you introduce people and you say, and nothing's being done criminally, is a good person, a good man, a good woman, and then you do something different, that makes the person that introduced you, that said all those things about both of you, you good people, he's good. It's bad on me. I've introduced you, I've told that person, and it could be on YouTube. Nobody's doing nothing criminal here, right? That shit is long gone. Nobody wants to do nothing like that. It's cringy. But it's that stuff still means something to me, and I learn that lesson every day with this, behavioral things. People act one way and then show something different somewhere else, and it's no different than the street. And you do learn that. I was saying that I didn't have too many issues that way outside of a couple where I felt I was put in a bad situation. I won't use the word betrayed, but there were situations where we could have been in a very, very bad situation and could have not went home. That's a fact. Because of behaviors of others, because you're not protected, because you don't have that thing again we talked about. That's a fact. I don't know if anybody could you cannot dispute that. I don't care what level, who you've been with, what you've been around. No. I don't care how much respect you garner in. Again, my time. I could have garnered the most respect in the world. I could have been liked by everybody, loved by somebody. Hypothetically, again, everything we're talking about is hypothetical, right? Hypothetically, the guy I'm with is not liked. Let's hypothetically say that. So who becomes the target? The targets become who's around him that don't have that, right? And they could be well liked, but the only way they could get a message to him, because he can't, or he can't get touched. You touch somebody close, somebody that he cares about, they get touched. And that I could honestly say I was new to that. That I learned on the job. So yeah, I learned that on the job. So yes, there was a lot I knew, or I thought I knew. I did. And there was things I did not know. And I learned them in training on the job. Look, there's so much stories I could share, but I wanted to talk about behavior. But I think I was telling a few people tonight before I come home. I always say I never know what I want to discuss when we do these types of shows, because it's not my favorite thing to do. It really isn't. Speaking about my time, or whatever you want to call it, being around it. But behavior, I don't think, whatever you're doing, like you could take me in the years that I worked in construction, a lot, security, had businesses, in the street. I acted the same way. I don't think my behavior was much different. I was the same person no matter what I was doing. And a lot of it centered around respect. It had nothing to do with the life. That would come later. I give you respect, I expect it in return. You don't give it to me, you act like a fool, I'm going to treat you like a fool. You know what I mean? And listen, I'm your average guy. You know what I mean? There's bigger, better, tougher. It's not about that. Not about that. There's just a certain way you got to behave. I don't care what you're doing in life. I don't care what it is. And honestly, you could, if you polled anybody that's ever been around me or worked in any way, whether it be construction, the unions, security, street, crew, whatever you want to talk about, I guarantee you 8 out of 10 will give you the same response. It'll be I'm not saying good or bad, but it will be, this is how he behaved. He was big on this. He loved to have a good time, loved to break balls, liked to have fun. But he would make fun of himself first before he would ever break somebody else's balls. That's a fact. Jimmy Boy, what's happening, my man? You got my eye on my remote. I love it. I was just talking to Jimmy about behaviors and certain do's and don'ts of just the life, and hey, listen, it's true. Don't expect people to behave the way you feel people should behave, because you'll be highly disappointed when you see something totally opposite, and B, you know what? Everybody's an individual. They can behave any way they want. That's the truth. That is the truth. It's just that there's certain things I do have a hard time with to this day, and it has nothing to do with the street at all. Zero. But some would say, well, he took them from the street. No, I had them long before. You're taught certain things when you're young, and they don't leave you. They don't. And it's not criminal. It's not criminal. It's not about going to rob somebody's garage no. It's about behavior. Not acting like a know-it-all, not being the tough, not trying to show everybody don't be a big mouth, a loud mouth. Oh, nothing worse than that. Fucking loud mouth. Nothing worse than a guy that's, I'm the toughest, I'm the baddest, I'm this, I'm that, constantly. Constantly. Not going to get you far. But I believe this in any walk of life, right? It could be a regular job. We've all had them, right? Regular job. Same shit applies. Just in the street, it's more dangerous when you act that way. Because if it's a regular 9 to 5, and let's say you're working in a bank, and somebody's disrespectful, there's a good chance somebody's not gonna hit him with a candy dish over his head because he's not being respectful. He's talking reckless. Well, in the street, you will get hit with a candy dish. I'm trying to behavior, loudmouth, gossip, being the toughest guy in the crowd, bragging about doing time, bragging about it, not talking, bragging about it. You don't know how much time I did. You're the guy that's always done more. You always one-upping somebody. You're that guy that's got to one-up somebody. Oh, you think that's something? Well, you don't know what I did 7 years ago. I did this, I did that. No nos. You shouldn't talk about anything you ever did at any point in your life when it pertains to that. It's not to brag about. Quite honestly, it's not to be proud of. Fucking embarrassment. I'm ashamed by some of the things I've done. And they're not even a tip of the iceberg compared to what some done. And that's not to lighten anything criminally I've done. It's not to lighten them. I take full responsibility for anything I've ever done. Anything. From scams to any sort of anything. Whatever they are. So you guys are smart enough to know what's involved in the street. And again, I talk about a time that most people say was quiet. It wasn't. Well, not most people. Just people I don't think truly understood the levity of the mid to late 90s. It was hot. It was hot. When I say hot, you had a certain group of guys that all, have the same thing or aspiring for the same thing, and they have a disdain for each other. Everybody's with a different house. You know what that means? And shit's going haywire. and you happen to be in the middle of it, you're thrust right into it because your flag is here, and you're going to represent that flag because you're fully invested. Like I said, don't sign it. Why play football if you don't want to get to the NFL? For the enjoyment, for the trophy, that's great. I know my dream was to play in the NFL. That's why I play football. Why box if you don't want to be a boxer? Yeah, it's great to say you did it. Don't get me wrong. It's beautiful. You get in shape, great shape. I get it. The street, I don't know. I don't think that's one place you go to just say, so you could say you're around. Now, there'll be guys that got that thing, and there's a guy in here now that will definitely tell you I'm accurate on this one. There are guys and were guys that wanted to be around so bad just so they could say they were around. And we'll wait for Friday, and I'll use that as a question that I'll ask Jimmy, or I could call him on the phone, but I'll do it with an audience when we got our chat crew together. Tonight, guys, I'm sorry. You know what? Let's go to the chat. I said I would go to the chat. Got a few minutes. Let's go to the chat. Joey D'Angelo says, have you watched Amish Boy recently? Nope. I'm never going to watch again, so I don't get agita. Maureen, Jimmy D's in the house. Absolutely. Penn State guy. Chris, you always make me laugh. Nicky Scarfo whacked the horse for being disrespectful. Why doesn't that surprise me? Remember, the key in life, Jimmy D says, consistency. Absolutely. Man, consistency, and that covers so many areas, right? Personality, attitude. I guess that's personality. Wow, it means a lot. That's a great one. Just like the guy getting thrown out of a plane. That was hysterical. That's it, man. I just wanted to touch on some, I knew there wasn't 10. There's probably 100 if I thought about them, but it was about behaviors. I also want to say one thing. Terry, how are you, dear? It's a pleasure to have you in. I just get this warmed up for Friday night. Tomorrow night we'll do our boxing. Thursday night, I think we have an interview. I'll let you guys know. A good one, Danny. It's always great to have you here. Everybody that's here, thank you for coming in. I want to say something. You're going to see, guys, in football, I'm going to use this analogy. In football, there's something called you scout, and then there's something called self-scouting. And for whoever doesn't know, self-scouting is when you look at your own team, right? And you scout your own team. Okay, he's not as good as he used to be. We need to upgrade here. We need to do this. We need to do that, and so forth and so on. So over the next couple of weeks, in order for us to get better at what we do here, we're going to be doing some self-scouting. So I think we have 200 and something videos out between shorts and whatnot. So we're going to self-scout ourselves. That being said, as we self-scout, every wrench, I don't want nobody to take it personal, every wrench will be removed, and in very due time, as the self-scouters are scouting our channel, like an audit, all wrenches will be given back in time. And it'll be, I can't say how long time is, but, they got to go through some analytics and things like that. I'm not taking part in that. But like I said, from day one, there's people that behind the scenes that help. And it's easy for me to hit the live button and go live. It is. And just say whatever it is we're going to discuss. But that being said, I hope just, on a discussion basis, keeping things real. And, it's probably things everybody knew already about behavior. But I wanted to make it clear that consistency. Jimmy said it best. If you snapshotted me as a person, a guy in the neighborhood, how I treated people, I didn't treat nobody different when it be in construction or in the street, or as a bouncer, or as a, whatever you want to call it. All right, and an engineer in a hotel. I treated everybody. I always treated people with respect, usually, and there's a lot of people feel that, I believe in giving people enough rope. It sounds terrible to hang themselves until they show they don't deserve to be respected. Now, there's a lot of people that feel they do it the other way. Well, that everybody's different for a reason. So I would give you respect until you showed me you didn't deserve it anymore, and then you would know that you were being disrespected, right? Then you had choices. We all have a choice, right? In anything in life. But I want to thank everybody for coming in. I hope, whatever we shared tonight was, I don't want to say enjoyable but they're just life lessons. And I always want to say this because I mean it 1,000,000%. And I think people should reflect on it. And you might get tired of hearing it, but that's okay. You can put it in the chat, shut up. I'm good with that. Some things in your life should be non-negotiable. And for everybody, it could be something different. It could be something different. Some things in your life should be non-negotiable, whatever they might be. And for me, I probably have way too many. But I'm not special. Unfortunately, that's who I am. And believe me, at 57, I'm still a work in progress. God willing, there's still some time for me to make peace with certain things and learn to have more patience and realize that this is YouTube and it's a cesspool, no doubt. And by going at certain people that, yes, it's personal or whatever, it just adds to it. And really, I'm chasing ghosts that are never gonna, respond to me the way that I'm looking for, just to cure the pride that I have in me, because it's all pride. That's what it is. So, like we used to say, check your friendship at the door. We have something to do, whether it be a job, whatever. Hypothetically. No, I used to tell my guys in construction, let's check our friendship at the door because we got a job to do right now. Just the same way I might have been told that shit, maybe not in that way, in the street. You're being told it just in a different way. And maybe it was that way. Check your friendship at the door. There's shit to do. Again, Al Capone, I wasn't. But that being said, you know how we like to go out. Bobby, thank you so much for coming in. I hope, I know nobody needs to be lectured by me. I wasn't trying to lecture. I was just trying to pass some little nuggets. That's all. That's all I'm trying to do. And there'll be plenty of stories, believe me. There's plenty of screw-ups on my part. Plenty of funny shit that I want to share. Not everything was life and death. Yeah, people need to understand the seriousness of what you're choosing. But it is what it is, right? Terry, thank you so much for coming in. I'm glad you enjoyed the show, or whatever we call this. CG2, you're the best. Cheech Reno, how are you? Thank you for coming in. Chris Trock, thank you, my brother. I gotta get to you, Chris. I gotta. It's my bad. I gotta. You know what I mean. You'll see it'll pop up, Chris. I know you got a show. Good. CG, put it up. Guys, give Chris a shot. Give Chris a sub. Good guy, gentleman. Nothing but a gentleman with me. Darren, thank you for coming in. Cheech Reno, I want to tell you again, thank you. Absolutely. CG2, Terry, Penn State guy, funny bastard. I got to tell you that. Maureen Frick. Maureen, how are you? Joey D'Angelo. Thank you for coming in. Joe Town, how are you? Davey T, my man. Penn State guy. Funny son of a gun. Jimmy D, I won't forget that. Consistency. 57, I'm still learning. Consistency. Darren Cassidy. Devil Salerno, my man. Thank you for coming in. Joe Town. Yeah. Joe Town, what fight are we going to do tomorrow? We're going to do a fight. We're going to pick out a good one. Benny Boy, Sally Boy, what's a good word? My brothers. Tonio, love you, bud. Agnostic, my man. Agnostic. Talk to you, brother. You know it. Great conversation today, boy. Always a pleasure. Nikki, where are you, Nikki? Terry. I like to say goodnight to everybody. It might piss people off that I go through the name, but no, you're not. You're good enough to come in here. I feel the least I can do is acknowledge you that you came in here. Paul, pleasure to have you here. Pleasure to get your comments. Maureen Frick, thank you. Agnostic, my man. Yep, absolutely. Kelly, I haven't seen you in a while. Kelly, I hope all is well, Kelly. So nice to see you, Kelly. The Pink Panther. GDM, how are you, GDM? Think we touched any boy I got. Nasser, any boy, I think we're good. If I missed anybody, don't take it personal. I don't mean to. Oh, Teresa Murphy, mwah, and Charles de Dugue. Gotcha. You see, Project DARPA. What's good? Everybody, I think, I hope had a great Memorial Day weekend. Thank you for reminding me. I hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. It's good to have you in, Doc. I mean that. I want to read that. Sorry, I've just seen it. My daughter was only 6 months old last time she came with my wife to visit me upstate. Nah, that's real stuff, man. And that's what I mean, Cheech. That's what I mean. And thank God, she was only 6 months, But as they get older and they go to visit, whoever we're visiting or they're coming to visit, we're indoctrinating our children or we're being indoctrinating into it. And, people could say I'm wrong on that, but I don't say things just to say them. Believe it or not, there's some things I do read up on. One of them is not getting to know somebody's nickname or shit like that. I don't do that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I don't do it. I'm never going to pay for Jerry Capisci's, whatever he calls it. Wasn't that serious to me. I chose to live that life. Mavrod Hunter, how are you, brother? When I chose that path, I didn't need to know about nothing but unless it was said to me. I think I got everybody. Kelly, it's so great to see you. I mean, Penn State Templar. Sorry, brother. Bobby Bright, how are you? It's good to see some. It's awesome to see. I hope you guys don't mind the Love on the Rock song. I do it to break chops. Sideline Scout, my man. Tits McGee. I'm sorry for saying that word. That's a nickname for one of my guys. Who's that girl? Whoa, that is deep. I got to really get through that one. Who's that girl? Expectations are premeditated resentments. Very good. I like that. The people in YouTube that want to hear war stories have never been in any war stories. Thank you, Nick. Wow, took the words right out. Who sang that? You took the words right out of them? All right, I've already been told I can't sing. I'll stop. Sideline Scout. So Antonio says, expect nothing from nobody. When you expect and get nothing, you get disappointed. When you expect nothing and get something, you are rewarded. Well said. Where'd you learn that? I can't take credit for that one. I don't know if I don't think I don't know. Maybe I can say, I don't know. Maybe it's up, Dookie. Dookie, what's up, Duke? Praying you will. Stevie, what's up, Bo? Sorry I'm getting everybody late. Maureen, Stevie, always a pleasure. You know that. My pops told me at 7, don't ever mention nobody's name. That was a lesson in itself. I'm glad you remember that, Toe. Glad you remember that. He turned out to be a good man. I'm blessed. I hope everybody's blessed that hardworking, beautiful children that are an asset to society. That's a fact. Timmy Irish, I love you, pal. You know it. Agnostic, that was a great phone call we had today. Darren Cassidy, if I miss you. Dookie, I got to talk to you, Dookie. We got to talk. Tonio, you dropped some nuggets tonight. Good stuff. Davey T, I want to thank you again so much for believing in us and what we're doing moving forward. Danny, thank you for coming in. Love you much. You know that, brother. Danny, you don't even know the plans we got for you with football Osada. I try to get all your lives, buddy. You know we trying. I'm trying to find Bobby. Right in the potato. Bobby, you got me saying that now. Right in the potato. Every time we put up a short. Right in the potato. Right, Bobby? All right. I think we're good. We got through. I want to go out the way we always go out. What do you want to hear? Timmy likes the Reality Report song. This one. I want everybody to have a good night, and let's go out on Love on the Rocks. Right? Wait, we got one more comment. All right. Everybody, Matty Boy. Everybody, Joe Town. One last time, think about, and this is the last time.